They say time heals all wounds. But what they don't tell you is, sometimes, the person handing you the bandages is the one holding the knife. You ever think back on a moment, months later, and realize that was the exact second your world tilted? For me, it wasn't when my girlfriend left, or when I found out why she left, it was the night I saw Chloe in that hoodie. And not just any hoodie. Her hoodie. The navy blue one with the frayed drawstrings and the faded, Carmichael College, logo across the chest. The one my ex, Emily, wore on Sunday mornings when she'd curl up on the couch next to me, half asleep, smelling like that lavender detergent I always forgot the name of. Chloe stood in my kitchen, sipping coffee like she belonged there, wrapped in that memory like it was hers to claim. She noticed me staring. Gave a soft smile. Said something casual, like she'd just thrown it on because it was chilly that morning. I nodded. But inside, everything twisted. Let me back up. It had been 3 months since Emily walked out of my life. Said she needed space. Said she needed to find herself. Said it with that hollow tone people use when they've already found someone else. I didn't ask questions, not then. Not because I didn't care. Because I did. Too much, maybe. But because I already knew the answers. You can feel it when someone's gone, even if their body's still in the room. The worst part? I didn't get angry. I got quiet. Like the kind of quiet you only find at the bottom of something heavy. I leaned on Chloe, my best friend. My only friend by the end of it. She was there for the whole mess, from the first slammed door to the last unanswered text. She listened. She brought food. She stayed up with me on those numb, blinking past midnight nights where grief didn't make sense and everything felt too still. She held me while I cried once. That was the beginning, I think. Not of us. Of the shift. Chloe had always been the one person I never had to explain myself to. We met freshman year of college. I was the shy kid from Ohio who overthought everything, and she was the girl who wore combat boots to class and never brought a backpack. We clicked instantly. No sparks, no romance, just that rare, perfect rhythm two people fall into when their weirdness matches. When Emily came into my life a couple years later, Chloe didn't blink. She never gave that fake smile some friends do. She liked Emily. Supported us. Hell, she introduced us. That's what made it so confusing. So, damn cruel. Because when Emily left, Chloe didn't just step up, she stepped in. Into my routine, my headspace, my grief. She cooked meals, reminded me to shower, even cleaned my apartment when I couldn't find the will to do it. For a while, I thought maybe she was just that kind of friend, you know, the rare kind who doesn't vanish when the heartbreak sets in. But then came the little things. How she started staying over more often. How her texts changed from, "You okay?" to, "I miss you." How she looked at me when she didn't think I was looking. I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't. Not Chloe. Not until the hoodie. I hadn't seen that hoodie in weeks. After Emily left, I couldn't even bring myself to touch the pile of her things in the back of my closet. I kept telling myself I'd donate them eventually. But I didn't. I couldn't. Some part of me wasn't ready to let go, of her, of what we were, of the life I thought we were building. So when I saw it draped across Chloe's shoulders, something cracked. I asked her, carefully, where she got it. She just laughed. Said she'd grabbed it from my closet one night, thought it was mine. Said it still smelled like lavender and figured it was one of those old hoodies I always wore to game night. But it wasn't mine. And she knew it. The rest of that morning passed in slow motion. We talked about nothing. The weather. Groceries. A new coffee shop she wanted to try. But everything had shifted. Every word tasted like ash. Because the truth had been hiding in plain sight. And I'd been too blind, or maybe too hopeful, to see it. She wasn't just helping me heal. She was replacing her. And suddenly, I couldn't tell whether I'd leaned on Chloe, or if she'd been waiting for me to fall. You ever see something so out of place, so quietly damning, that your whole body goes still? That's what happened when I saw the photo. It wasn't anything dramatic, not at first glance. Just a Polaroid, slightly curled at the edges, tucked into the corner of a mirror on Chloe's nightstand. I almost missed it. I wasn't snooping. I was dropping off the takeout she asked for, trying to act normal after the Hoodie incident, pretending I hadn't been waking up every morning with a tightness in my chest I couldn't name. But that photo, man. It was taken the summer before Emily left. The three of us, me, Chloe, and Emily, at a music festival. I remember that day. Sunburned shoulders, warm beer, dust in the air. Emily was leaning against me, my arms slung around her. Chloe stood just beside us, flashing that easy grin of hers. But the way the photo was positioned in her room, Emily had been cut out almost entirely. Just a sliver of her arm remained. The photo had been trimmed, not torn, not damaged, cut. Cleanly. Deliberately. I stood there longer than I should have, the takeout growing cold in my hand, staring at what used to be the three of us. A triangle. Balanced. Unbreakable, or so I thought. Now it looked like Chloe had taken a scalpel to the memory, carved it down to just me and her, like she was editing history to fit her narrative. I didn't ask her about it. What was I supposed to say? Hey, why'd you crop my ex-girlfriend out of our shared past? Instead, I went home. Ate cold noodles on the couch. Stared at the wall. And for the first time since Emily left, I allowed myself to revisit those last few weeks of our relationship. I mean really revisit them, not the glossy, heartbreak-tinted version I'd been clinging to, but the raw, uncomfortable truth. And suddenly, things started lining up. The cracks hadn't just been in our relationship, they'd been in our circle. The three of us were inseparable, but that kind of closeness has a cost. And somewhere along the way, the lines blurred. Emily started withdrawing, yes, but Chloe started stepping in. Offering advice, giving me these pointed looks, saying things like maybe Emily just doesn't get you the way I do. I thought she was being protective. Loyal. Now I wasn't so sure. The next night, I found myself scrolling back through old messages. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, just something to make sense of all this. And that's when I saw it. A text from Chloe. Dated 2 weeks before Emily left. I know it hurts, but maybe this is the best thing for you. Some people don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. At the time, I thought it was supportive. Now, it felt like a breadcrumb. One of many. So I kept digging. My brain was on fire, pulling up group chat logs, photos, conversations I'd once skimmed without thought. Patterns started to emerge. Subtle ones. Chloe always steering the narrative. Always planting little seeds of doubt, not just about Emily, but about myself. About my worth. About what I deserved. And then I remembered something that made my skin crawl. A night about a month before Emily left. Chloe had been over, we were watching some movie I've long since forgotten. Emily had just stormed out after an argument, something stupid about dishes or work or both. I was venting. Raw. Frustrated. And Chloe had said, soft and low, you know, if I were her. I'd never take you for granted like that. I thought she was just being a good friend. But now, it felt like a confession in disguise. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, piecing together the slow burn betrayal. The emotional sleight of hand. And the hoodie, that damn hoodie, it wasn't just a hoodie. It was a trophy. A quiet claim on something that wasn't hers to wear. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done since the breakup. I texted Emily. Just one question. Did you talk to Chloe before you left me? The dots appeared almost immediately. Then stopped. Then reappeared. Her answer. She told me you had feelings for her. Said I was holding you back. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because the truth had finally come full circle. There's a kind of stillness that comes over you when the final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. Not peace, no, not that, but a kind of clarity. The fog clears, and all the things you couldn't see before suddenly feel obvious. Like they were always there, just waiting for you to look the right way. That's what I felt after Emily's text. She told me you had feelings for her. Said I was holding you back. I just sat there on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, staring at those words. I read them over and over again, trying to picture the moment Chloe said them. Was it casual? Offhand? Like she was doing me a favor? Or had she planted that seed with intention, slowly, deliberately, knowing exactly what it would grow into? That's when I decided I couldn't let this fester. I needed to hear her say it. Not in texts. Not in half-truths. In person. It was a Thursday afternoon, cloudy and heavy with that kind of air that feels like something's about to break. I texted Chloe, told her I was coming over. Said I needed to talk. She replied with a smiley face and said, "You always know where to find me." Yeah. I did. That was the problem. When I showed up, she was barefoot in the kitchen, same as always, playing some old Fleetwood Mac record and humming along like she hadn't altered the course of my life with a well-timed whisper. "Want some tea?" she asked, breezy and warm. I said no. Sat down at her kitchen island and waited for her to look at me. She finally did. "What's up?" I asked her straight out. No build-up. No hesitation. "Why did you tell Emily I had feelings for you?" She blinked. A beat passed. Then two. Then she laughed. A soft, breathy kind of laugh that people use when they think you're kidding but aren't sure. "I mean, did you?" That right there, that was the moment I knew. Because if she'd said no, if she'd looked me in the eye and said I never said that, I might have doubted myself. But instead, she threw the question back at me. Redirected. Like she always did. "Chloe," I said, quieter this time. "Why did you do it?" Her smile faded. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed. The room suddenly felt smaller. "I didn't lie," she said. "I just told her what I saw." "What you wanted to see," I corrected. "You played both sides. You were comforting me while cutting her down. Pretending to help while nudging us apart." She didn't deny it. She just looked at me, eyes shining, like she was genuinely hurt. "You were miserable," she said. "She didn't see you. Not like I did. And that gave you the right to manipulate her." "I didn't manipulate anyone," she said sharply. "I protected you. I was there when she stopped trying. When she looked at you like you were an obligation instead of a person. I was the one who picked up the pieces. I was the one who stayed." She was right. She did stay. But that's the thing about loyalty, it only counts if it's honest. I stood up. Not angrily. Just, "Done. I didn't ask you to stay," I said. "And I didn't ask you to turn my breakup into an opportunity." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "You knew exactly what you were doing," I said. "You wore that hoodie like it belonged to you. You cut Emily out of that photo like she never mattered. And you told her I loved you, knowing it wasn't true, just so you could slide in when she walked out." Still no denial. No apology either. Just silence. So I nodded. Picked up my keys. And walked out. That night, I sat on my balcony, hoodie in hand. The real one this time, not the one she'd worn, but the one Emily left in my closet. The last thing she ever touched in my apartment. I didn't cry. I didn't throw it away. I just held it for a while. And then I folded it neatly, put it in a box, and wrote one word on the lid: closure. Because here's the thing I learned that day: sometimes, the people who say they're saving you are just making sure you drown the right way. Slow. Quiet. With a smile. But I didn't drown. I saw the truth. And that was the first step toward healing. Funny thing about betrayal, it doesn't hit all at once. It leaks in, like water through a crack in the ceiling. You don't notice it at first. You hear a drip. Feel a chill. But by the time you realize what's happening, your whole foundation is damp. And mine. It was soaked. After I left Chloe's apartment, it wasn't rage I felt. It wasn't even heartbreak. It was exhaustion. The kind that settles into your bones, like grief mixed with guilt. I spent so long leaning on her, thinking she was my shelter. Turns out, she was just a temporary roof. Leaking from day one. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I went home. Cleaned. Not just the apartment, but everything she'd touched. Her mug on the shelf. Her charger in the outlet. The blanket we used to share on movie nights. I boxed it all up. Didn't throw it away. Just put it out of sight. Out of reach. I needed space. Real space. Emotional distance. So I stopped answering texts. Jacob tried to reach out, yeah, that Jacob. One of the friends who took Emily's side when she left. Back when everyone thought I was the problem, the dead weight holding her back. I didn't block him. Just left him on read. For a while, silence was my sanctuary. Weeks passed. Life went on. I started sleeping again. Not well, but better. I stopped checking Chloe's Instagram. Unfollowed Emily, too. Not out of anger, just preservation. Some things aren't meant to be revisited. Especially not late at night, in the dark, with nothing but your worst thoughts for company. But something surprising happened in the middle of all that quiet. Maya reached out. Now, you don't know Maya. That's because I barely knew her either. She was a mutual friend. A kind soul who floated around the edges of our group, always kind, always polite, the kind of person who remembers your birthday even if she barely knows you. She and I had only ever exchanged small talk at parties. So when her name popped up on my phone, I stared at it for a good minute. Her message was simple. Hey. I don't know if this is weird, but I heard what happened. And I just wanted to say, I always thought you deserved better. From both of them. No judgment. No agenda. Just that. I didn't reply right away. Didn't know what to say. But 2 days later, I did. Thanks. I didn't realize anyone noticed. Her response came quickly. We notice more than you think. Some people just stay quiet until the storm passes. That was the beginning. Maya didn't try to fix me. She didn't flood me with advice or pity. She just showed up. Sent a playlist when I said I was having a rough day. Dropped off coffee once with a sticky note that said, "Hang in there, you're doing better than you think." It wasn't romantic. Not at first. It was honest. Something I hadn't had in a long time. And slowly, quietly, I started to open up again. Not just to her. To myself. I picked up painting again. Something I hadn't touched since college. Threw color at canvas like it owed me something. I started jogging in the mornings. Nothing fancy, just breathing, moving, letting the rhythm clear my head. And somewhere between the coffee drops and the quiet check-ins, I realized something. I was healing. Not the flashy kind of healing. No big revelations or dramatic tears. Just small steps. The kind that matter most. One night, Maya and I were sitting on a park bench, watching the lights of the city flicker across the water. I told her the whole story, start to finish. Emily. Chloe. The hoodie. The photo. The lie. She didn't interrupt. Didn't gasp. Didn't offer clichés. When I finished, she just nodded. And then she said something I'll never forget. Some people don't betray you to hurt you. They do it to fulfill something broken inside them. But that doesn't mean you're obligated to stay in their story. It hit me harder than I expected. Because that's what I've been doing all along, staying in someone else's story. Playing the part they wrote for me. The dependable boyfriend. The grieving ex. The guy who was easy to lean on until he wasn't needed anymore. But I wasn't in their story anymore. I was writing my own now. Life has a funny way of testing you, not when you're at your worst, but just when you think you're finally steady again. When you've cleaned the mess, stitched yourself back together, maybe even started to smile without faking it. That's when it throws something old in your path. Like a pop quiz from the universe asking, "You sure you're over this?" That's what it felt like the day I ran into Chloe. I hadn't seen her in months. Not since the confrontation. I didn't block her, but I also didn't reach out. I thought, maybe hoped, we'd both just drift. Become strangers again, like two people who used to know each other in a past life. But the universe? It doesn't work like that. It happened in the most ordinary way, like these things tend to. A bookstore, of all places. I was there on a Sunday, picking up a gift for Maya, a vintage poetry book she'd once mentioned in passing. I was feeling good. Calm. Even, light. Then I turned a corner and there she was. Chloe. Standing in the fiction aisle, flipping through a hardcover like it meant something. At first, she didn't see me. And for a split second, I had a choice. I could walk away, slip past her, pretend I hadn't seen a thing. But I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe I needed that closure face to face. Maybe I needed to look her in the eye and know, really know, that I was past it. She finally glanced up. Her expression shifted in stages. Surprise. Discomfort. Then that old, familiar softness, the one she used to wear like a second skin. She gave a small wave. I nodded. Walked over. "Hey," she said. "Hey." We stood there for a moment in that awkward silence only two people with shared history and severed trust can understand. "You look good," she offered. I gave a half smile. "I am good." That landed. I saw it in her eyes. A flicker of something, regret, maybe. Or just recognition. That I wasn't the broken version of myself she left behind. "I heard about you and Maya," she said. "Through Jacob." I nodded again. "She's real. You know." Chloe looked down. "Yeah. She is." Another beat. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. I didn't mean for things to go the way they did. I told myself I was helping, but I think I just didn't want to be left behind. And there it was, the closest thing I'd ever get to an apology. And honestly, that was enough. I didn't need her to beg for forgiveness. I didn't even need to understand all her reasons. I just needed to hear her say something real, finally. So I told her the truth. "You hurt me. But I think, you hurt yourself, too." She blinked at that. Like no one had ever said it to her out loud. "I'm not angry anymore," I added. "But I can't go back to pretending we were ever something healthy." She gave a small, sad nod. "I know." Then she reached into her bag, pulled out a navy blue hoodie, that hoodie, folded neatly. "I meant to return this," she said, handing it to me. I took it. Not with bitterness. Just finality. "Thanks," I said. And then I walked out. I didn't cry. Didn't rage. I just walked to a nearby bridge and stood over the water, hoodie in hand. The sun was setting behind me, painting everything in gold. I looked at that hoodie, all the memories stitched into it, the weight it once held. Then I smiled. And tossed it in the donation bin beside the bridge. Not because I wanted to forget. But because I'd finally let go. There's this idea we all have, that healing is a straight line. Like you start at pain, walk a few miles, and end up at peace. But the truth? Healing's not a road. It's a loop. You circle around the same memories, again and again, until one day, they don't sting anymore. You don't forget. You just stop bleeding. That's where I found myself a year later. Not happy in some shiny, Instagrammable way, but steady. Whole. I'd stopped flinching at the sound of her name. Stopped checking my rearview mirror for ghosts. And Maya? She stayed. Not just physically. She showed up. For the hard days, the quiet mornings, the messy middle parts. She never tried to fill a space that didn't belong to her. She just walked beside me until I was ready to walk on my own. One afternoon, we were sitting on the couch, legs tangled, sun pouring in through the window, and I found myself laughing. Not just smiling. Laughing. The kind that bubbles up from somewhere deep and forgotten. And I caught her looking at me. What? I asked. You look different, she said. Lighter. And she was right. I didn't feel like the guy who'd been lied to. Or the one who'd watched his world unravel over a hoodie. I just felt like me, finally. Sometimes people ask if I ever saw Emily again. I did. Once. Briefly. She was at the grocery store, pushing a cart, hair tied up, looking tired but happy. She didn't see me. And I didn't go over. Not because I was bitter, but because there was nothing left to say. I walked past the frozen section with a half smile, thinking how strange it is, the way people who once knew everything about you can become background noise in a fluorescent lit moment. That's growth. Not slamming doors. Not revenge fantasies. Just walking by without a second thought. As for Chloe, I heard through the grapevine that she moved to another city. Started over. Last I checked, and I only did once, she was volunteering at a youth center. Teaching art. I hope she's okay. I hope she found whatever she was chasing when she thought she was helping me. The thing about betrayal is, it leaves a scar you don't always see. Not on your skin, but in the way you check people's tone, question kindness, brace for impact. But the right people, they soften that. They teach you that not everyone's looking to take something. Some are just there to walk you home. Maya once told me something that stuck. Closure isn't something people give you. It's something you give yourself, when you finally realize the story's over, and you don't need to reread the ending. She was right. I don't need to go back. I don't need to ask why anymore. I survived the storm. And now, I'm building a life where I no longer measure love by who stayed through the worst, but by who helped me rise from it.